What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to show you several things. And basically I'm having a problem to get the titles for my videos because they are not just the simple things. It's what I'm trying to pass to all of you are all of these things which are not that easy to find online, and it's beyond all of it. So the idea was that I wanted to make a Kick 2 tutorial, but I think there's plenty of videos, and in my opinion, from my perspective of view, this is pretty easy thing to do, while making the whole kick to sound good enough is something that I believe I can help to many of you to do on a kind of more professional way, even though it's hard for me to say some things that and trying not to sound too egoistic. So this is not the point. It's not about me, and all the work that I do in all of these videos is honestly because I'm trying to help as many of you as possible. So the idea was to create a Kick 2 a tutorial, or to show you how it does work. And there are several things that I want to mention in this video specifically and to talk about. And one of the things is how to use the Kick 2. So if you are a beginner, or if you are just starting, or if you are on some beginner level, you will be able to see how you can use Kick 2 in order to. But if you're a mediate or advanced producer, there are certain things that I believe are going to be super interesting to hear from me, and that I believe are the truth. So anyway, so the first thing is, we all know we have a kick. I have a Kick 2 here in this project. So the first thing, it's just a basic sine wave. If I, let's say, do something like this, this is the pitch curve, so if I just play this, it fades out. But if I even remove this, okay, let's say something like that, if I bring this, it does fade on a certain amount of time. But if I set it, let's say, to the same 155, if I put it to 155, right? 155, come on, come on. So basically it's a sine wave. We have the length here, so this is a sine wave in the length of 701 milliseconds. So this is how does it sound. So generally we are creating kick by having the pitch up and then pitching it down. So this is a zap, but if I do something like this, now it sounds way more as a kick. I'm just gonna mute all these clicks. So this is the main sub oscillator, which is the sine wave. We can also choose a different, we have here sine wave, then we can choose a different ones. But in general, when it comes to the low end, when it comes to the punch and the low frequencies, they are all sine waves, and there's nothing better sounding in the low frequencies than sine wave. Basically everything else, except the everything that's not sine wave is containing the sine wave inside of itself. So only if it has more harmonics, which means it's going to be all the frequencies or all the harmonics above the fundamental one, or the frequency of the main frequency of that element, are just going to enrich the sound. While, let's say, if we take the saw, and if you go with the brick wall high cut, and if you keep only the first harmonic, you'll get the sine wave again, because it's the bass, it's the waves are all the sine waves, and this is the basic waveform that exists, and we cannot avoid it, and we shouldn't, because it's the most pleasant one. And in my opinion, if I go, let's say, to 50, the best sounding frequencies are from 40 to 50. But in order for many of you to hear as much of you as possible, because of the headphones, and I don't know what kind of speakers you use back in your studio or home or wherever you are listening this video to, this is 52. So it's the low frequency that is really pleasant to the ear, and it does have the power to punch in the body. Even though the kick, I would go a bit lower than this, but I just took the example. Everything above the 50 is already kind of upper, and it's gonna lose the power. Of course, I don't want to go into the tuning the kick and what, because it's just gonna open so many different things. So we are choosing the pitch over here, like how we're gonna pitch this kick. We choose the length of that kick, let's say to around 200 milliseconds. Okay, we are choosing the curve. I'm gonna add one more dot just by double clicking. And we can change the curve in order to shape our pitched wave. And here we have the amp, which is basically the envelope. So I'm just gonna reduce this click at the beginning by applying a bit more of the attack on it. Okay, I can also choose the curve. And by changing this, we're getting something that reminds on the Psytrance Kick. Okay. And I'm gonna turn off the EQ, distortion, and drive also to put on 0. So we have the pitch here, we have some the options for presets, we have the amp, we have the clicks. These are all the external kind of information that we can add to it. We can add a hi-hat, we can add whatsoever, it really doesn't matter. We can add a hi-hat, we can add just a top layer on it. Now when it comes for layering the kick, I believe if you see it in putting the 2 kicks with the low information, I believe it's super stupid to do so, as the best sounding kicks will have like a perfectly shaped waveform on the tail of the kick or on the body and the tail of the kick, and the more cleaner this waveform or the sine wave is going to sound better. I'm talking about Psytrance right now. Even though I believe the same goes for techno and other genres, just this, what we're gonna put on top of it in the upper frequencies or upper harmonics, but I would say frequencies, this is going to give it like the character or how it's going to sound. Sometimes I'm gonna put the reverb on it, or I'm just gonna send a little bit to the reverb, or I'm gonna put like the hi-hat, or you can add, I don't know, there are tons of the percussion that you can try adding in order to get this kind of a punch on it and to create this kind of hit effect, because I do also believe that just a plain sine wave on top of the frequencies, it sounds really bad, in my opinion. Of course, it's all debatable, but I honestly believe that this first beginning here is just like... And from the left side of the sine wave, we are choosing what is the start point, or which is the start frequency for our kicks. If you are producing like, let's say, full-on or progressive music, it's really popular to have really sharp kicks, so you can go up to 20. But if you're producing something that's a way deeper, let's say some type of the square bass progressive, or if you are producing a dark side music, something that's a bit deeper in the meaning or in the whole vibration of the whole track or the vibe of the whole track, then I will go with something way lower than 20k. This would be something, let's say, for the... What is the end frequency of this? It's 50. Now it's going to be way lower. So this is good, something for like, let's say, dark side. It can be even lower. Something like this. It's only 5k. Even something like this will sound good enough, because the whole point is that you should understand what is exactly you want to create. For example, I don't want to specify all of it, and the music itself, it shouldn't be analytical, as I'm trying to be as informative in my videos. But the whole idea is for you to achieve your goals that I'm gonna try. I need to give you the information, otherwise I cannot pass you the feeling in working in the music. And what I understood from my work with the music and the way how I can pass to all of you is in form of the information. But I wouldn't advise you that you have and to be super strict and super analytical when it comes to the music. I honestly believe that music should come from the inside, and that all of you should be in this kind of a meditative state or this hypnotic state and try to work with it and try to feel it, and that way you will get the best results. At least I used to get the best results this way. What I'm trying to say with all this information here is that if you want, for example, to create a deep or like darker track, like let's say forest or dark side, and then you use like some sharp kick from progressive or full on, it's gonna put the track out of that zone. It's not going to be dark and deep anymore, because it's gonna have on kick like all this high information, and it's gonna punch on top of it, which is gonna make it more uplifting, because we're gonna have a feeling that it's going to be more in the face. While for dark psy, or this kind of a darker psy music, or any darker music, the less high information we have is gonna create this deeper feeling, and it's gonna put this track closer to the desired emotion you want to create. So this is why I say it's really important to have to understand all of this. Just have it and put it as information in the back of your mind. Once you start doing so, you know what to do in order to achieve your goals. Something like this. But let's say, yeah, okay. So I chose the kick too. There are plenty of different tools, because what I used to try to do when I was learning to make the kicks is that I used to use this click over here. So what I can do right now, I have eClip best kick ever, one of the best kicks I ever made and the best sounding ones. So let me just sit. Okay, so I will just go to click because I have the amp envelope over here. I will solo it. So this is my favorite kick and the best kick I ever made, in my opinion. And this is my start point. So now what we can do, we can use this click view. I can select it over here so I can see what I inserted. And if you have your preference kick or reference kick, or the kick that you prefer, you can just load it in the click. You can go to the click over here, open it so it shows the full waveform without any changes or fade outs. And then you can go back to the pitch, and then you can start replicating it in this waveform. Now the second reason why I'm making this video is we're gonna come to that point. So first thing I want to do now is I want to try to match the blue and yellow. So I will do that by just changing and trying to move this second dot over here, and I will try to make them to match. It's not an easy task, but I already did this kick, so I know it's gonna go to around 36. I'm gonna do something like that. Okay, then click on this dot and then zoom over here so we can see what's going on. All right, and then I'm gonna go back to the amp and fix the amp settings so it matches. Okay, something like this. Something like this. Okay, I'm gonna mute. I muted the click too. I just wanna see it. Okay, pitch. Now trying to fix the waveform, and this is the way how I will do it. And it's kind of precise, and it's not that easy to do this, but it's really possible. And I already did it in another channel. I just wanted to show you. So if we analyze this, if I click on this one and I zoom in, at the beginning it's not so perfect because there's a hi-hat on top of the kick, like and if I go and if we check the waveform, it's not the same, but it's really close. Okay, something like this. Okay, and if we check it like this, it's really close to it. All right, I have some small corrections right now because I just moved. It's really picky. If you move like this one over here, it's gonna change the whole end of it. No, so it's not this. Okay, and it's above the curve. So I have almost exact, and I did manage to get like super close to the kick that I was referencing with, and in order to learn what does make this kick to sound good enough. But what shocked me was that we can hear that these two kicks are, in my opinion, what I'm hearing in my studio, are not even close. Okay, the tail of it, like the body, that's it, but the beginning of it, it's not even close to the kick that I was referencing it with. So this make me to have two conclusions. One is, can we trust what we are seeing in all of our analyzers, waveform, showers, and whatsoever, or there is something else which is included in this? From my experience, there was not many things that were included, and my own conclusion is that we honestly cannot trust the analyzers, the oscilloscopes, and other things, as they are there. They are presented to all of us as something that's going to show us that something that is as it is. But in the reality, I believe that it's not even close to it. And all of these softwares and all of these tools, they have their own way how to present what they are doing with the sound, how they create certain things. And these are all the algorithms. And in my opinion, and from my experience, we cannot trust many of them. So when it comes to this was one of the things which I wanted to explain in several videos, because I see that as an enormous amount of people are trying to make the music by their eyes, and everyone is trying to analyze, everybody is trying to put the side scopes to measure the phase and to do this and to do that. And I realize that there are so many fears and so many incomplete information. One of the videos that I'm going to make will be about the phase police, because I see that people are so afraid of changing the phase. Like, no, don't do this. This is changing the phase. There is nothing wrong in changing the phase. And I honestly believe it's opposite. And for, let's say, the baseline, I believe it's the most important thing. And I do so many different things just to change the phase as much as I can until I get something that sounds good enough. There's a lot of things in changing the phase which can help us to get a better sounding results, specifically for the kick. So when it comes for the kick, as I already said, like kick sound design. So when I say sound design is a process of synthesis, which you just did over here. It's a decent kick, right? But no, this was my reference kick. But this one does not sound so good, right? So it's not just enough to make a synthesis, and in general it is, if you like the results. I'm saying now, if you want to go in advanced mode and if you want to create something that on a super pro level, so the next thing that I would do over here is that I would use some of the, just to write down, okay, so, sorry. Okay, so this is the kick. And I'm gonna draw it in the full length of the one. Okay, but I don't have the hi-hat on top of this one, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna go here, and I do have kick hi-hat. So they're not even close. I have the same kick over here. My best kick ever made. So the next thing that I usually do is, if I have already the kick that I really liked how it looks in the frequency form, what I can do, I can load in the kick that I'm making. I will go to, let's say, Pro Q3. All right, and I'm gonna turn on the side chaining. For this, you will need VST3, I think so. At least I need it in the Cubase. So, and then from the reference kick, I'm gonna just send the signal to the Pro Q3 on the kick 2. So what it's going to do is gonna feed the information, and from the analyzer, I will go EQ match, and I will choose external side chain. So what it does, it analyzes the signal that is coming in, and I'm gonna do match. Basically, it didn't do much, it just amplified it. And yeah, let me just extend this one as well so I can A/B them. And now I got something that sounds really, really close to it, but you see there's tons of information that's added to this. I can add even more details if I want, but I think this is good enough. And honestly, this was pretty lucky moment. It happened to me in the past also, but it's really rare to do like this EQ match and that it sounds good straight away. It does sound even a bit better right now. But again, everything I'm doing right now is in an empty project. I'm listening only to the kick, which I wouldn't advise to all of you to do and to spend enormous amount of time. So this is something I would do at the beginning in an empty project. Then I will go and insert this kick into the track that I already done. And then I will start mixing it, removing some of the frequencies whatsoever, as I believe it's really, really, really important for the kick, the bass, for all the work to be done in the whole track, where there are many of other sounds involved in the project as well, because what we're referencing right now is we just hear like small amount of the things. If there are some unnecessary frequency there, we're gonna hear it only if we have way more sounds on top of it. This is where they're gonna start jumping out. When they start summing with everything else, this is where they're gonna show us their bad, their mistakes, or not mistakes, but certain errors they have. And this is when you're gonna be able to fix it way faster. I can spend now 8 hours. I'm just gonna get confused, and I'm gonna do tons of unnecessary things on the kick. And then when I drop it in the project, or if I build the track around all of this right now, it's gonna sound completely different. So there are two ways. Of course, you can always, and I would advise you to save this preset if you get the results you like. Save it as a preset whatsoever. But in a certain moment, I will definitely want to export to render the channel, right? And I will definitely try to see these two, and as you are able to see, they look pretty close to each other. What I can do, I can flip the phase, and I can see and I can hear their difference. Okay, so this is what we hear right now, is a difference between these two kicks, because I flipped the phase, and then we can hear what's actually the other one is missing. So what we're listening right now, let's say I could take this one and I can merge into the one, and then I could remove all the low information, and then I could... Sorry, what's going on right now? Huh? What am... okay, so it's... all right, no. So I didn't do it good enough. Okay, so these two, I will merge them into the one channel, and for that I need to... how I do that? Yeah, mix down as a one file, okay? So it's gonna create one file. So this is the difference, and this difference I can, let's say, set. Okay, there's some click at the end. So what I can do right now, I can mix it with this one and get something. But I don't like, I think it sounds better like this. I guess that many of you won't hear the difference, but there is a difference. Like the kick that I made, it sounds weaker. There's something really powerful inside the kick that I reference with, and all of this comes from the processing itself. There are tons of the ways. In some cases, I'm gonna use, mostly I will use the multiband plugins in order to shape the phase. Let's say Vitamin from the waves. So what if you are using headphones and if you don't have a studio monitors, most likely the difference will be too small or not even noticeable. But I'm telling you, everything that comes to the sound quality, and as this video says, it's a kick sound design, and sound design itself. All right, so music making itself, it has technical and it has the artistic sides. For me, it's like the fight in between of the science and spirituality. When it comes to the creative work, I put that on something that I would compare with spirituality, something that the information that is coming, it's really weird to explain. It does work on a certain ways, but it's really hard to explain. While the science, it's explainable, it's measurable, and this is the base of it. and let's say the sound quality or the mixing and everything is really measurable, and when we do mixing whatsoever. So there are various of the processes which we use to make our tracks. There are creative ones like, I don't know, the writing, composing, arrangement, where we rely on our feeling, and there are certain like really scientific parts or technical ones, which is like mixing, mastering, marketing, and other things which are kind of measurable, where we can track the process and do so. While the sound design is only one, and the process of that contains both of them. We can rely on the feeling in order to do create a certain good sounding effects whatsoever, but the sound design will also be reflected, or the sound quality itself will gonna be really important part of the sound design itself. So if we make the sound to sound better, it's going to increase the sound design. So the sound design is a combination of both worlds. So one thing is to create a character, to put something on top of the kick, to create it, to touch the fields, while another is to increase a certain frequencies and maybe to change its dynamic in order to sound bigger, fatter, and that way it's going to increase the sound of and the quality of the kick itself. So everything we're talking right now is the part now that are fine shaping, and when it comes to for these technical parts, let's say that in creative sides you can just add one more note, or you can just make a small change and the whole track is going to sound completely different. It's going to be super important, like one small thing can change so much when it comes to the creative world. While in this technical side, or when we are trying to make the tracks to sound better, it's going to be thousands of small improvements, and it's really rare to do one certain small things and that's gonna make the whole track to sound that much better. So if you are looking to increase the sound quality of yourself, you should focus on various and tons of the small improvements. It's always up from 2 to 5% maximum of the increase. And all of these steps that I'm doing right now are just these small things. So it's just gonna shape the phase, as this is the multiband extender, or I don't know how it's called. I didn't write the manual for this one, but basically it's gonna do opposite of the compression. So what I did, I have this fourth band in between of 2.5K till 9K, and I just increase for 22 decibels. It really, I don't know what does it mean. It's not that I boosted for 22 decibels, definitely, but it brought a better punch on in that region, and the whole kick sounds a bit better. Maybe it's too much. But also it changed the phase, because all these low cuts and high cuts, low pass filter and high pass filters are the same as the EQs. So there will be a crossover point, and every time we apply the low cut or the high cut or anything that we do with the EQ, it's gonna change the phase. And the multiband plugins are the plugins that are gonna do them that much times, because for each of these band there's going to be one high pass filter and one low pass filter. So this is the combination, and then just moving this point where it's going to be cross point, specifically in the lower range, I'm talking about below 500, they're gonna change the phase in a bigger amount, while everything above that we're not gonna be able to hear. So this is the second thing I would do. The R-Bass from Waves is also a great tool to increase and add some frequencies in the area of second harmonic, if we were talking about the bass line. So let's say the area around 100, it's gonna make it to sound more full, and R-Bass would be the first tool that I would add to the kick after it goes out of the kick too. Even I could put it in the insert of the kick too, it really doesn't matter. But I just want to pass through to the processing itself and how important it is. And in my opinion, there are tons of the people who are asking me questions about, like, why, Marco, why do you put so much effects afterwards on the plugin, or after the plugins, or for various different elements or sequences, and I have a feeling that there's a lot of people who believe that everything could be done in the synthesis. In the synthesis, you can do a lot, but in processing are happening some other things, like how you will change you can change a bit of the shape of this sine wave that is happening just by manipulating its phase. So if we chose the sine from the kick 2, and we have, let's say, 2 different sines in the kick 2, but beside these 2, we don't have much things to do. So what I'm doing right here is I'm also shaping that the shape of the waveform itself, so it sounds way different. Of course, I'm shaping also the frequent response, and also what I forgot to say is that everyone thinks there's some kind of magic in doing this, but basically, as it's a simple sine wave, as it's passing from 20K, it's going down. So when it arrives to this point over here, when it arrives to this point over here, it's some kind of a frequency. So the sine wave reaches to the frequency, I would say, to around 300, and we could see that by opening the analyzer. All right, and once we see this dip, yeah, so it's around 350. When it goes down, it's gonna shape it as what we're seeing on analyzer is kind of fast forward of the waveform. It's a combination. I really don't want to say something that can confuse you or someone to start opening the debate on my channel, because I'm not trying here to confuse anyone. I'm just trying to give as many valuable information as possible. But what I'm doing right now, I'm making them further on. So what we can see from this point is they look perfectly, almost exactly the same. There are certain differences, but how steep is going? Does this sine wave goes like this, or it's more closer to the square? And how it behaves, this is something we cannot see by the eyes, and all this will affect. And I honestly do not think that you should go and analyze. If you can learn something, but learn something from watching or spectating the waveform or frequent analyzer, it's good only if you can hear that you're getting the better results. In my opinion, in my practice, I always open and see, just looking for the mistakes, something that I maybe misheard or something that I maybe didn't came to my mind. And in most cases, I'm using analyzers only when I get confused. Like I hear something is not right, but I'm not sure what it is. I cannot find the solution. So I'm just gonna open the analyzer in order to try to find what it is. Maybe it's gonna, oh, okay, this might be it. Okay, I'm gonna try to solve it. Yeah, this is it, or it's not, and moving forward. So all the visual tools that we use for making music should not be exactly pointing us, and we should not create and making decisions as they are showing us. They should just be possible solution. They should just show us what might be wrong, and the best results and best sounding tracks I always got by listening. Of course, for that, there are certain conditions that need to be made, as like the speakers and the converters and the room, and these are the 3 things that I would suggest you to invest the most, as I also had these doubts, like, no, the equipment is not important, blah, blah, blah. But after I went through all of it, and after I went through 10 years of frustration and suffering in a form of not getting the results, it's not that something terrible happened in my life because of it, but it did. It was painful period, definitely, and I just went through all of it. I just wanted to, because I wasn't sure why I'm not getting the results that I want. I just wanted to be sure that I'm just gonna kick out some of the things that might help me. And the first thing that I could do was, okay, I can save some money, I can invest in the equipment, and then I will be sure if I'm not getting the results that I want, I will be sure that it's on me, it's not about the equipment. Because before I invested in the equipment, I didn't know, is it my knowledge, is it my ears, is it my psychology, or are the speakers? So speakers helped me to solve many of psychological, not the problems, but the to clear out some things, and by having the good equipment in the studio actually helped me a lot to learn about my process and what I'm doing wrong, what I did good, how much time I should invest in every session, when should I mix, when should I be creative, and whatsoever. Another thing I want to say, this video is kind of a small course, but this is something that I'm kind of gathering for a very long time, and it's not that easy to explain all of it. It's not just about making the kick. For someone it is, for me it's not. For me it's as you saw, it's a whole process, and there's a tons of the millions of the kicks made in my career or life or whatever. So everything I'm trying to pass over here is the experience that you might use for your own benefit and maybe solving some of your problems, which is my main motivation. As I already mentioned this time in this video, I was frustrated. I was in a pain when I couldn't get the results that I want, as I'm a pretty stubborn person, and I cannot accept that I cannot do what I want. I mean, not this sounded a bit weird, but when it comes to music, like, I cannot accept that I cannot do it. If I hear that someone else did it, I cannot accept that I cannot do it. I just know that some people will do it more easy, some people will do it through more work or whatsoever, but this is my belief, and I believe that we are all not equal, but that if someone else could do it, I could do it as well, because it's not a rocket science and nothing that much important. And I mean, for me it is, but not important in the way of the whole world. Anyway, sorry for such a long video, but I honestly believe that this is really useful, and these are the information that you won't be able to find that much online. At least I couldn't, and this is the reason why I'm trying to put it out. Okay, I was too serious in this video. I needed to concentrate to not forget so many of things which I said in this video, and I really hope that you like this video. I'm preparing for the new course. It's going to be about the sound design, and after that I'm going to make another one that's going to be about the mixing and mastering, and one about the playing music. So these are all the huge plans, and I will try to achieve that as soon as possible. And next September, in September from 18 till 20 September, we have another course in Cambridge. So if you are up or you want to come to learn more, it's going to be a 3 days course where we're gonna hang out and learn how to make Psytrance music, and the topic is going to be sound design. Thank you very much for watching, and see you soon in another video. Bye.